is hydrological cycle?
Solar radiation that drives the water cycle is also known as the hydrological cycle, which is the continual circulation of water within the Earth's hydrosphere. The atmosphere, the land, the surface water, and the groundwater are all included. Water transitions between liquid, solid, and gas phases as it goes through the cycle. Evaporation, transpiration, condensation, precipitation, infiltration, runoff, and subsurface flow are all the physical processes that carry water from one compartment to another, such as from the river and the ocean.
Evaporation is the process by which a liquid transforms or turns into a gas. It is one of the three primary phases in the Earth's water cycle, along with the condensation and precipitation. Evaporation accounts for 90% of the moisture in the atmosphere, with plant transpiration accounting for the remaining 10%. In the hydrologic cycle, evaporation happens when the heat is applied to the water surface. Heat, like sunlight, causes the water molecules to travel faster and faster until they are able to escape as a gas. A molecule of water vapor lingers roughly 10 days in the air after it has evaporated.
So for transpiration, it is the process in which the water absorbed by the roots of plants comes out from the tiny openings of the leaves, which is the stomata, and moves into the atmosphere. 90% of water vapor in the atmosphere on land comes from plants through transpiration. Overall, about 86% of the atmospheric water vapor is from the ocean, and the remaining 14% is from the plants via transpiration.
Hello everyone! Condensation is the process in which water vapors turns to liquid water. This process involves cloud forming and the complete opposite of the process evaporation. So condensation happens in two ways. First, air is cooled to its dew point, wherein the air temperature and the dew point temperature are equal, and thus it forms mists and fogs, and this usually takes place at night. And the second, it became saturated. When clouds are saturated, the density of the water molecules increases, and it results to precipitation.
Precipitation is water released from the clouds in the form of rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, or hail. For precipitation to happen, first tiny water droplet must condense on even tinier dust, salt, or smoke particles which act as nutrients. Water droplets may grow as a result of additional condensation of water vapor when the particle collides. If enough collisions occur to produce a droplet with a false velocity in which exceed the cloud of drop speed, then it will fall out of the clouds as precipitation.
Surface runoff is a precipitation runoff over the landscape. It usually happens when there is an excess water coming from the rain, the storm, or coming from the ice that melts and that can no longer infiltrate the soil. In addition, it is important to the water cycle because it helps the lakes and the rivers to be full of
We will discuss groundwater infiltration. Infiltration is the process by which water from ground surface enters the soil. Responding to the pull of gravity, water infiltrates down into the ground through the soil through cracks and pores in the rocks. However, the groundwater is the water that lies beneath the ground surface, filling cracks and water pore space between grains in the plastic sedimentary rocks. Groundwater is the major economic resource, particularly in dry like deserts. Most towns and farms pump great quantities of groundwater into from the drain wells. So this is the actual representation of the unsaturated soil, unsaturated region, and the saturated. So this is the layer of the water, particularly called the water table, and this is mostly most of the water, and this is the air and the water composition.
Precipitation from the clouds, it will enter to the soil and it will go to the lower side of the soil, and this is called the infiltration. However, the lower part is the groundwater. This is the saturated soil, and this is the unsaturated soil.
Percolation. Percolation follows runoffs as the final phase in the water cycle. When water on the Earth's surface at the runoff stage seeps underground, it's called percolation. The passage of the water from the unsaturated to the saturated zone is therefore represented by the percolation process. In comparison to infiltration, percolation transfers supplies or become the part of subsurface runoff process, whereas infiltration brings water from the surface into the soil and plant rooting zone. In other words, percolation is the slower flow of water beyond the soil and deep into groundwater compared to infiltration.
Seepage is alike with the process of infiltration, in which water flows through rock and soil layers vertically and laterally. In this process, water flows from one place to the other via small holes and porous matter, in which water flows into water supply sources such as reservoir and irrigation canals.
The through flow is the movement diagonal downslope of water through the soil, as opposed to the vertical movement known as percolation. It may follow natural percolines in the soil. Through flow is a major factor in the hydrology of a drainage basin where the rocks underlying the soil are impermeable.
Why is hydrological cycle is important?
So one of the most important cycles that is happening in the earth is the water cycle. It is indeed important because first, water is essential. Second, it enables the availability of water to all forms of living organisms. Third, it regulates the weather patterns of our planet. And lastly, if water doesn't naturally recycle itself, we would basically run out of clean water. Therefore, we could say that water cycle is indeed very important.